Hello, welcome back to English Digest. I'm Seb.
And I'm Elsie.
And we're here with today's topic writing unit. In today's article, we're going to show you how you can turn a simple writing prompt into a grade A piece of prose. What's our topic for today, Elsie?
今天的主题是The importance of perseverance, 毅力的重要性。
Perseverance. Wow. Okay, so we're going to be talking about overcoming some hurdles. 克服一些障碍。You know, a lot of people say that perseverance is the key to success. That's why English speakers often use the phrase, no pain, no gain.
Can you tell us what it means?
Well, we normally use this phrase to mean you can't get anything good or you can't succeed without going through something difficult first. Or perhaps you have to make some sacrifices to get what you want. Can you think of any times that this would apply to your life, Elsie?
Like I had been working really hard to become a certified strength and conditioning coach.
Okay, yes, that sounds like a lot of hard work.
Right, so during those days, I practiced every day, I studied every day, and I think I passed the exam because I'm still waiting for the notice.
Oh, well, I hope that you are successful. And I hope that you didn't go through any actual pain when you were training to become a trainer.
A little bit.
Oh, okay. Because just remember, when we say no pain, no gain, you don't actually have to get hurt.
没错 ，no pain, no gain 在说的是没有痛苦就没有收获，或是一分耕耘一分收获。但你不用真的经历 physical pain，身体上的疼痛。
Right. Life isn't always easy, and we all have to face a few challenges from time to time in order to get what we want. That's exactly what we're going to be talking about for today's assignment. So without further ado, let's check out the writing prompt, shall we?
今天的提示呢，给的是我们在追求目标的时候，途中总是会遇到许多阻碍。放弃很简单，但是坚持下去呢，才能带领你通往成功。那请你以一篇文章说明毅力的重要性，文长至少120个单字，文章需分段。
You know, there's a lot of truths to this prompt. When we are pursuing our goals, we often encounter adversity. Adversity is a situation in which the state of affairs or things or other people are involved are trying to stop you from achieving what you want. For example, we could say that Nelson Mandela faced much adversity when he was fighting to get rid of racist laws in South Africa. Lots of people wanted to stop him. In the end, though, he overcame adversity and was successful. He overcame quite a bit of adversity. He was put in prison.
Adversity 这个名词代表逆境、厄运或不幸。So when we face adversity, we need to overcome it, right?
Okay, I think it's time to warm up for our writing assignment. We're about to start developing our approach, but before we do, it's time for a warm-up. Take out a pen and a piece of paper now and write down some times that you've had to overcome adversity. They could be big achievements, you know, like passing a big important exam, or little everyday ones. Perhaps you stood up for a friend at lunch break who was getting bullied. These are all times that you could have overcome adversity. So give yourself a couple of minutes now and write down a list of those. So next, we need to learn how to develop an approach. How do we do that, Elsie?
OK, 所以呢，我们首先要了解到的是，我们今天要写的是论说文。那论说文呢，包含 argument 论和 narration 说的部分。论指的是呢对主题提出见解和主张，属于比较主观的论断。说呢指的是解说和分析主题，属于是比较客观的说明。那常见的论说文类型有第一个，分析某事物的优缺点和利害得失；第二个，比较探讨两者的优缺点。第三个，说明某事物的影响或重要性。那面对这样的题目我们必须要提出理由，加以举证，分析原因，说明结果。那一样本篇论说文呢，我们要用到英文作文的基本架构，分为引言 Introduction、主体 Body， 还有结论 Conclusion。那就是类似中文的起承转合4个部分。Introduction 是文章的引言，说明写这篇文章的动机。全文的 thesis statement 主旨句常在第一段点出，简短就好，不要花太多时间在上面，因为接下来的 body 主体才是最重要的。那论说文的 introduction 可以有以下几种写法第一个， 解释主题并说明要探讨这个主题的原因。第二个，说明一般人或专家对于主题的看法。第三个，统计或学理上的报道和诠释。第四个，清楚表达个人的看法或所支持的论点。那就像刚刚所说的 ，body 是文章的主体，必须要论述清楚并具说服力。记得要做出合理的说明哦，并且加上 supporting details 佐证的细节。配合本篇题目呢，我们可以将 body 分成两段。Conclusion 最后是文章的结论，可以简单总结或重申前面提过的要点。你也可以提出建议。这种方式的结论呢，可以让论述更明确。
A lot of good points there. I particularly like the fact that you reminded everybody that we shouldn't spend too much time on the introduction.
Right.
Remember, it's when you're getting into the flow of writing your opening statement. It can be very easy to start writing, 100 words, 200 words, 300 words about your introduction, and before you know it, you've written a whole page and you've not gotten to the topic of what you're writing about.
And that's not good.
Exactly. So you should really be just structuring it around your thesis statement. Keep it quick, keep it simple. Don't go into too much detail on that first bit. Okay, next we're going to be looking at the brainstorming section of our writing prompt. So let's check that out now. Okay, so today we're going to be teaching you a brainstorming technique for developing your ideas that you might not have heard of before. It's called a hierarchy diagram. Well, this was certainly very new to me. A hierarchy, we know that in English a hierarchy is a structure or a system where some things are more important or higher up than others. So if you think about maybe the Middle Ages where you had a kingdom and the king was at the top and then he had all of his lords and then they had the knights and all the different levels of people in society, that was a hierarchy. Okay, but we're not talking about kings and lords and knights in this prompt. We're talking about the structure of our essay. So take a look now at the diagram that we have in the magazine. Okay, as you can see, there is a flow of several different ideas or points. We've got at the beginning our title, The Importance of Perseverance. And then we're going to branch off into the different sections or the different ways we can approach this issue.
所以呢，我们这边看到的阶层图啊是很重要的哦。在遇到论述某事物的重要性或是影响的时候，不妨利用这样子的阶层图，把第一段和第二段分别要写的东西列出来，最后再把这些变成你的 outline， 你的大纲。
Now, I quite like this. It says in the example diagram that the perseverance is key to satisfaction. When something is key to something, it's essential for that thing to exist. So if you don't persevere, you won't be satisfied in life. Another example might be this sentence. A balanced diet is key to a healthy lifestyle. You can't have a healthy lifestyle if you're eating McDonald's all day. We also see a couple of other interesting ideas here. We looked at how something can prevent you from pursuing your goals, how difficult situations or encountering adversity can prevent you from pursuing your goals. Now, when we're talking about something preventing you from doing something this way, we can say that it is an obstacle, okay? An obstacle or a hurdle. Now, Elsie, did you ever do track running when you were in high school?
No, not really.
Okay, so maybe you might not have encountered hurdles of this kind before, but a hurdle, I did. A hurdle is kind of like a tiny fence that you have to jump over in a running race called the hurdles. So it's a little bit difficult to overcome this thing. And of course, we're not talking about a real barrier in this prompt. We're talking about an abstract hurdle. So maybe a time that somebody said you couldn't do something, or there were rules that you had to break in order to get what you wanted. These are all kinds of hurdles because they might have stopped you from doing what you wanted to do.
所以这边讲到的 hurdles 就是困难，
Exactly.
在达成某事上面遇到的困难。Okay, so Seb, how are we going to do our outline?
Okay, well, by now we've got our ideas all laid out on paper. We have our examples, we have our opinions, but we need one thing. We're missing one thing for a great article, the structure. It's time to create the outline.
没错，大纲是很重要的。那一开始我们要设定的是我们的 introduction， 我们的引言。We all meet with challenges in life。这边提供的呢是在说我们在人生中都会遇到挑战。这句话可以当做我们的 introduction。
Right. Normally, when we're thinking of our introductory phrase, we want to use something quite general, very broad, that can help bring in the reader into the topic we're talking about. If you start with a statistic or a really specific fact, that might be difficult for the reader to get into your story, into your article. So it's helpful to say something very broad and very open. We all meet with challenges in life. And that's something we can all relate to, right?
没错，我们要写的是比较广泛、比较一般的说法，不要直接进到数据等等的 details。
Exactly. We also need to know how to organize the body of our article as well. By now, I expect you guys know that when writing an essay in English, there is one way you can be sure your ideas will be well laid out and easy to read, and it's all about the paragraphs.
好啦，那现在呢，我们要看的是主题句。引言说完，再来就要进到我们的主题句。How we react to these challenges is a feature of our character. 我们对他们的反应定义了我们性格的特征，用这样子的说法来带出接下来的文章。
Exactly. Everybody is different. Everybody is their own person. And so people with different personalities might react to adversity in different ways. Elsie, how do you react when you come up against something difficult or a difficult situation?
I always try my best to overcome the adversity.
That is a great outlook, a great way of approaching adversity. Me... have you ever heard of the fight or flight syndrome? Okay, so...
Which one are you?
I'll get onto that in a second.
Okay.
Firstly, the fight or flight syndrome is something we use normally in the natural world to talk about animals. When an animal is threatened, it might fight you or it might run away. Flight, in this case, means to flee or to run away. So I definitely fall into the flight category.
Really?
So when I see a problem, I run away. I don't try and do anything about it. I just get as far away from it as possible.
OK， 所以同学们，你们可以想一下，你是 fight 还是 flight？ 你是跟他拼了，还是你会逃走？Like Seb.
Yes, or try your best like Elsie. Maybe you guys can teach me a couple of things about perseverance after today's episode. Okay, so once we've got into these paragraphs, we need to be thinking about how we're going to be organizing the internal structure. After each topic sentence, we go into a bit more detail. Let's take a look at the example outline for the first paragraph. So we had our first sentence, how we react to these challenges is a feature of our character. And then we follow up with 3 more. Some people let difficulty distract them. Others push through or devise alternative solutions, and persevering is the key to having a satisfying life. Okay, I'm wondering if you guys can already sense the pattern in this. Elsie, can you see where this is going?
Yes, 因为刚刚在说我们对他的反应都是不一样的，而且会定义我们的性格，所以接下来要讲 different people's reactions, right?
Exactly. If we just said how people react is a feature of their character, that's a bit... it's a bit broad. It's lacking information. You hear that sentence and you think, well, how are people different? And that is exactly what this paragraph is doing. The first sentence is obviously our topic sentence. But what about the others? The second, some people let difficulty distract them. And third, others push through or devise alternative solutions, help explain what the topic sentence means. People with different personalities react to challenges in different ways. Some are put off by difficulty, others rise to the challenge, and others run away, like me. Lastly, our final sentence concludes the paragraph by giving some opinion. Persevere and you will be happier. That's what the author thinks.
好，所以结束了说明大家的反应都不一样之后第二段承上启下，写出自己的经验。 It's time to talk about yourself. 叙述自己如何用毅力达成目标。所以这边我们看到的主题句 topic sentence 是 I've performed poorly in gym class in school. 他提到啊，我在体育课的表现都很差，所以接下来会说出他要克服这件事情的方法。第一个 I decided to run home from school every day. 我就决定每天都要从学校跑回家。第二个呢，他说啊 After 2 months, I would get home and still want to keep running. 2个月之后，我发现自己跑回家之后，仍然想要继续跑下去。Interesting. 再来第三个，他就说到了 This year, I joined the track team and made new friends. 今年我加入了田径队，也交了新朋友。然后最后他带出了一个结论 I'm glad I pushed myself to keep trying. 我庆幸啊，即使我曾经想放弃，还是逼着自己持续尝试。
All right, let's take a quick break and then we're going to be taking you through a couple of examples of how you can approach this question. Let's begin by looking at this basic sample. We all meet with challenges in life. How we react to them is a defining feature of our character. Some people let difficulty distract them or prevent them from pursuing their goals, while others push through or devise clever alternative solutions. It can be tempting to take the path of least resistance, but I feel strongly that persevering in the face of obstacles is key to having a successful, satisfying life. For example, I've performed poorly in gym class for most of my time in school. Last year, though, I began to wonder if I could change that. I decided to run home from school every day, and at first it was hard. My bag was heavy and my lungs burned. After 2 months, though, I found that I would get home and still want to keep running. This year, I joined the track team, and I've had so much fun with my new friends. I'm glad I pushed myself to keep trying even when I wanted to give up. Okay, well, that was a really inspiring first reading, I think. The story of how somebody was not very good at something at school, not very good at sports, and overcame that and found something that they really loved. It sounds like he joined or she joined the track team and became an athlete. That's somebody who does, running or jumping or, those kind of Olympic sports as a hobby or as a profession. Now, this was inspiring for me because I was terrible in gym class. I was so bad at sports when I was in high school. And so I understand it's very easy for you to give up at something when you're not immediately the best at it, especially when you're, doing these activities with other people watching. So I wish I'd been as tenacious, hardworking and determined as the person who wrote this passage. Okay, but this person, they did manage to persevere and they became really quite passionate about running. It sounds like if they were running home from school, they could have probably joined cross-country. That, or at least in the UK, when we talk about cross-country, we're talking about a sport where people have to run very long distances. So 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers plus. So we're literally running across the country, which is why we call it cross-country. We also saw the phrase defining feature. Now, this is a useful bit of vocab. And something that is a defining feature is a really important characteristic. So important that it's the characteristic of something that people notice the most. So we could say that Taipei 101 is a defining feature of Taipei. Taipei wouldn't be the same without Taipei 101.
所以呢 a defining feature 指的是主要的、最重要的那个特色，缺了它就不一样了。
Exactly. We also saw the word alternative, which is a really great one if you're trying to increase the level of your English. When we put alternative normally in front of a noun, and when we're talking about something being an alternative, we mean that it's the other option. So the alternative solution in this passage is another solution. So we have pushing through, fighting for what you want, or an alternative solution. So that could be perhaps finding a different way to solve your problem. So just as we talked about fight or flight, flight is an alternative to fight. You fight or you flight.
没错，所以有些人他会选择 push through 坚持下去，或者去 devise clever alternative solutions 去设定一些比较好的、比较聪明的替代方案、替代的解决办法。
Exactly. I also really liked the word devise as well. When we devise something, we think of a solution or we think of a plan, normally a very clever one. So we can use this to talk about solutions, or we can talk about devising kind of evil schemes or things like that. Think about a villain in a Disney movie, they're devising a scheme to capture the princess or take over the world. That's kind of the idea we get from devising. We also saw let difficulty distract them or prevent them from pursuing their goals. Here, we could also say that people lose faith. Now, when we lose faith in something, we are very disappointed and we lose interest or belief in that thing. So, like the girl in this example sentence, after all of her students failed their final exam, Emma temporarily lost faith in her ability to teach, okay? She lost confidence in herself.
To lose faith in something 代表的是对某事失去信心，因为 faith 指的就是你对一件事情或一个人的信心。
The one thing to remember with the phrase lose faith is normally when we lose faith in something, we completely give up. So if you're having a bad day at school and you don't enjoy your math class, you don't really lose faith because that would mean that you probably never go to math class again, or you stop listening in math class after that day because you completely give up. So we only really use lose faith when we completely just don't want to continue doing something anymore. Okay, let's move on now and check out the second sample. Advanced sample. If at first you don't succeed, try again. It's a common saying, and it seems like simple advice, yet so many of us give up on our ambitions after encountering a bit of difficulty. But nothing truly worthwhile is easy, and it's by pushing through such difficulties that we are able to accomplish things we can be proud of. The importance of perseverance cannot be overstated. When we give up easily, we do ourselves a great disservice. We set our threshold of failure lower and lower each time we choose to quit, and this makes us less resilient and less courageous about trying things that seem challenging. This isn't to say that we should always push ourselves as hard as possible. It's not good to burn out. So we should find ways to relieve elated stress. But once we feel ready, we have to pick up where we left off and keep moving forward. It's only by persevering that we can make real progress and find lasting success. This is even true of people who seem naturally gifted. Talent can make them take them to a certain level, but hard work is what brings real mastery. If you've ever felt like giving up on something, this doesn't mean you're weak. It's natural to feel doubt when you meet obstacles. It's when you continue on in spite of them that you'll find the true meaning of perseverance. No matter how hard things get, keep believing in yourself and take everything one day at a time. Okay, that last little bit, keep believing in yourself and take everything one day at a time. That kind of reminds me of the TV show Kimmy Schmidt. Have you watched The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt?
No.
On Netflix? It's a very funny comedy show. It's all about 4 women who were stuck in a bunker who thought it was the end of the world. They were living underground. And eventually they get rescued and they find out that they were tricked and they were living underground and being tricked by this evil man. Anyway, one of the characters, while she's living underground, has a way of getting through each day. There's a crank that doesn't do anything. So that's kind of a lever that you turn around in a circle. And she says, all I have to do is tell myself I'm going to turn the crank for 10 seconds. And once I've turned it for 10 seconds, I'll turn it for 10 seconds more. And so
Okay.
she keeps counting to 10, turning the crank, and she can turn the crank all day.
That's how she spent
That's
days.
how she spends 10 years of her life.
Wow.
But I think there's a good message in there about just taking things a little bit at a time, setting yourself small goals that are easy to accomplish. Because it's very easy for us to fail when we set ourselves big, grand goals, isn't it?
Right. So I have a question. What does this phrase mean, cannot be overstated?
Cannot be overstated. Well, this is a really good one when you're trying to make an argument, when you're trying to prove a point in written English. To overstate something is to say that something is much bigger, much better, or more than it really is. So if the quality of something cannot be overstated, we're saying that that quality could not possibly be more than it really is. You couldn't over-exaggerate this quality. So, for example, it cannot be overstated how important it is that you fasten your seatbelt when you ride in a car.
Oh.
You can't be too safe by fastening your seatbelt, can you?
Right.
Exactly.
So cannot be overstated 代表再如何强调都不为过，因为它非常的重要。所以我们这边的 advanced sample 里面提到的是毅力的重要性，再怎么强调都不为过。
Exactly. Another really good phrase in this passage is do yourself a disservice. Now, service we know is 服务, or it's kind of like help in English. But so if we add the prefix dis at the beginning, we're talking about doing an unhelp, doing something that makes things worse for you. That's what doing a disservice is. When you do a disservice, you do something that makes things worse for you, sometimes without meaning to. So, for example, if you copy your friend's homework so you can finish the homework faster, you're actually doing yourself a disservice. Why? Because you're not learning anything about the homework. And when you get to your final exam, you're not going to be able to answer the questions.
Right. 所以呢 do yourself a disservice 代表是对自己造成损害。那最后呢，我们的这个 advanced sample 里面提到，当我们轻易放弃，我们对自己的造成的损失会更巨大。
You know, I really liked this passage. It actually reminded me of one of my favorite quotes. The only real failure is the failure to try. It's from a book, The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, which is about some elderly English people who moved to India to live in a retirement home. And they all face their own challenges because some of them are old and they've never been abroad before, and others are trying to start new jobs even though they are 70, 80 years old. And in the end, some of them find happiness and success. It's the ones that challenge themselves and are ready to fail who are happy at the end of the book. And I think that's a rule we can apply to every part of our lives. If you try something new or different, it doesn't matter whether you do well or poorly, so long as you've given it a go.
And if you are willing to keep trying, you'll succeed in the end.
Exactly. If at first you don't succeed, try again. All right, we hope that you succeed with your topic writing assignment. We've given you all of the tools that you need now to write a really good piece of written English. Unfortunately, it's time for us to say goodbye now, but we will see you again later in the month for more exciting writing assignments. For English Digest, I'm Seb.
I'm Elsie.
And we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.